Everybody, it's a real privilege to be here today and to speak about this very important topic. What I would say to you is I get the opportunity to do 3-hour lectures with midwifery students. So today it's going to be Formula 1, we're in 5th gear and we're going to be finished in 20 minutes and Brenda Devine is going to have our life. So this is just a brief run through of what we're going to talk about today. So for some of you, you've maybe never heard of FGM before or you're wondering what FGM is. The World Health Organization define it as procedures that involve partial or total removal of the external female genitalia or other entry to the female organs for non-medical reasons. It's further defined by the Royal College as all procedures involving partial or total removal of the female genitalia or other entry to the female genital organs, whether for cultural or for non-therapeutic reasons. What I want you to think about is it's actually of no medical benefit at all to anybody that it's carried out on. I don't want to go into all the details of this because some people will want to run away and leave the room, and this is when you can see people getting really quite uncomfortable. But FGM has been classified into different types. There's type 1 and type 2, and you can read through these, and I know this presentation is going to be available online for everybody as well. However, when you move into type 3 or type 4, and with type 3 especially, if you think of how women give birth normally, there's a lot of serious consequences that they're not able to do this, and I'm sure some of you have heard of developing countries where there's problems with obstetric fistulas and with people that have ruptured uteruses, and one of the major causes of some of those complications is actually FGM. It's very difficult to talk about this and it's hard to define, and some of you are maybe now thinking, why are we talking about this right here in Northern Ireland and right now? Some of the consequences of what has happened to people that have had FGM are here to see. It includes things like infections and sepsis, severe pain that can lead to shock, tetanus, urine retention, ulceration in the area, blood loss can result in death. Long-term complications include menstrual complications, painful sexual intercourse, birth complications, such things as fistulas that I've talked about a little bit already, and also, depending on how FGM is actually carried out, there's a high risk that some of the tools that are used can be a cause of HIV being spread. There's repeated FGM due to unsuccessful healing, scar formation, psychological trauma, infertility, and these are really just a few of the issues that are out there in relation to FGM being carried out. So perhaps again you're thinking, what has this got to do with us and how many people does this impact? What people are averaging at the minute is that between 100 to 140 million girls have undergone FGM at some stage in their life, that a further 2 million girls are at risk each year. In Africa, an estimated 92 million girls from the age of 10 or above have undergone FGM. It's mostly carried out in young girls, sometimes between the age of infancy and 15 years. And a lot of this really depends on where the girls actually come from. And what we need to start thinking about is some of those girls are living right here in Northern Ireland, and some of the girls that are at risk of FGM are also right here in Northern Ireland. I have the privilege of introducing Asma. I'm not even going to try to pronounce her surname because we've just given up with it. But Asma has become a friend of mine now, and Asma actually comes all the way from Sudan. So I think you've got sunshine today because she brought it with her, which is absolutely great to see. Asma, could you tell me really a little bit, as you can see on the screen there's a map of Africa and Sudan's noted there. Where else along with Africa has FGM become prevalent? So apart from the countries that are on the screen, what other areas of the world also have FGM?
Thank you very much. Hi everyone here. Thank you very much for the invitation and sharing experience. and I hope my accent or my language should be clear for everyone, because English, is not my first language. So, very sad to talking about FGM. It is a serious issue, and also it is a very, very, very bad culture. There is no any mention for the religion, to be honest, and especially I'm a Muslim, and our religion, there is no any mention for this is a bad culture. So the people are talking about from where in Africa, most of countries in Africa like Egypt, Somalia, Eritrea, Ethiopia, and most of the Middle East like Afghanistan, India, Pakistan, and this is exactly there. And most of countries in Africa as well, like Nigeria and Uganda.
That's great, thank you. I think your accent would be better than mine would be if I was in Sudan. So maybe you're thinking, why do people do this? So, along with what we're putting up on the screen for you to read, Asma's going to explain some of the reasons that people actually carry out FGM on girls within their own country.
To be honest, the reason it is just the bad culture, you can say that. The people, most of people, it is a bad culture for hundreds of years ago. And it is a sad, it is continuous till now. And some of them, because of sexual, it's just they want the girls not be normal. I think this is, I not believe that, but this is the truth. And some of them, they believe the religion, they should do this as a FGM for the girls. But the bad things, the FGM they do for the girls under 5 years and start suffering from disease. From this age, and we start to remember, most of them remember what happened for the girls for herself from 5 years and continue on growing and starting suffering when the girl be adult, like start the girls, she's suffering every month because of the period, and then after marriage, after during the pregnancy also, she is suffering. And I do believe that we can't change the past, we can't change the ways we have FGM, but at least I hope to stop this bad culture. Especially we have hundreds of girls here in Northern Ireland, and I do believe that the most of family will get the girls at home and do the FGM and come back here. And I try with the Ministry of Health and to share it and to help these girls and to support other ladies they have already FGM.
Asma is representative of an organisation called Hapani. That's easier to say than her surname is. But please come and talk to her and she will give you an idea. That's an organisation that works with countries from the Horn of Africa and it's based in Belfast. So please come and talk to her about that organisation and what they actually do. So, I'm going to apologise for this next slide because if one of my students put it up, I would say there's far too much text on it. But I want to give you an idea of how many women that could potentially be living right here within the UK that have either been a sufferer and have had FGM carried out on them, or also what we need to continually think about are the girls that are born to these ladies that are now going to be at risk, and they're going to be at risk here on our own doorsteps, and what can we as health professionals do in relation to this to try and provide more suffering for them in the future. So for us, England and Wales have actually just started gathering very specific, hard to say when you're up here, statistics about FGM. We're a little bit behind in Northern Ireland, but as you can see, by December 2014 there were 558 new cases of FGM identified in England, and that's only really since the start of September that those statistics were gathered. That brings to our knowledge a total of 2,146 cases that we know of that are clearly identified. Alongside that are also the ladies that don't choose to disclose that they've had FGM, and also the people that are illegally in the country that we don't know anything about. So this is just to give us an idea and to try and put it in context as to why we're speaking about it here today. I'm going to emphasise over and over again that FGM practice reflects deep-rooted inequality between the sexes, and what it does is constitute an extreme form of violence and discrimination that's purely against women. So for us as healthcare professionals, some of you are probably thinking, what can we do, or how can we deal with this? What I would encourage you to do, and I think Asma would agree, if you know women or you're friendly with women, befriend them and build relationships with them. I think in Northern Ireland, and because I'm come from here, it's fair enough to say that we kind of are a little bit suspicious of other people coming in. We're not quite sure how to talk to them, we're not quite sure what to say. But for women especially, they need friends, they want to make friends, and they want to know people that they can trust. If you've got somebody living in your area, or maybe even somebody living next door to you, or in another apartment, and they're actually pregnant, and they're maybe coming from a country like Sudan or Egypt, can you start a conversation with them? Can you encourage them to go to hospital? For us as midwives, one of the huge challenges is early identification of FGM. As I've said up here on the screen, if we actually know that these ladies have some level of FGM in the antenatal period, there's a fairly minor procedure that can be carried out that will enable them to give birth normally. But one of the big problems is a lot of people are afraid. They're not quite sure where to go. They're turning up at hospitals when they're 36 weeks or 38 weeks gestation, and they're really hard to manage. So encourage them that hospitals aren't bad places, they're a good place to go to. Women need sensitive support. For most of us sitting here today, we have limited understanding and experience, but what I want you to think about is you might be the first healthcare professional that one of these ladies might come across, and it might be your questions, your approach, your care for them that could make a difference to their overall care. Not many people are sure what to do in Northern Ireland as yet or where to go, but there's consultants in Belfast Trust that are looking after a lot of these ladies as it is, and Niamh McCabe as a consultant is absolutely fabulous, and I would encourage you, if somebody turns up at your hospital, to refer to Belfast or talk to somebody like myself, read what care these ladies need to have. The women need support in the postnatal period as well. And what I would really encourage you to do is, if you're going in and out of houses, to try and observe who else is in the house. Are there older sisters in the house that might be at risk? Has the lady already had a little girl, and is that little girl at risk? Asma talked a little bit about little girls being brought back home to their home countries. And whenever this is happening, what tends to happen is that FGM will be carried out on them back in their home countries, because people are aware that it's illegal now within the UK. So could you be the person, be a school nurse or a public health nurse, that might recognise there's a problem? Alongside that, a lot of girls from Northern Ireland are now marrying into people from other cultures. So what's going to happen to them? That's something to think about. And what we also need to think about is, if they have a little girl, are they going to be forced to take that little girl back to their husband's country so that FGM can be carried out there? Information about what's going on is really vital, and it is only when we talk to each other and communicate with each other that we can start to prevent FGM being carried out here in Northern Ireland and also upon girls from this community. Signposting or referring to other organisations is a brilliant way to ensure that care is provided, especially if you're not sure yourself how somebody could be managed. Apologies again, but I just want to emphasise that FGM is illegal within the UK, but we know it's still happening within the UK, and it shouldn't be happening within the UK. The Female Genital Mutilation Act was brought about in 2013, and because of the fact that statistically numbers are still rising. This has been amended to a Serious Crime Act within 2015, just earlier this year. And what people have been able to do is that they've also brought in FGM protection orders, which should protect young girls within homes to prevent the statistics increasing and hopefully to impact it in a really positive way and to start having numbers decreasing rather than increasing to the millions that we see on an ongoing basis. As you can see, it is a crime. If you go on the link down at the bottom, it will give you all the details there. But what's worrying for all of us within the healthcare profession is the fact that it is increasing, and there are statistics saying that it's increasing within the UK and also within Ireland. Just to try and round off what we're doing, for me this became very personal when I had the opportunity to go and work in Ethiopia. And these are some of my students whenever I was working in Ethiopia. And I asked them if there were any cultural things that impacted them that they thought I wouldn't understand. So they brought up the conversation of FGM. And all of the girls in this picture have gone through FGM. But what I want to say to you is they had absolutely no choice and they had absolutely no option in what was going to happen to them. For us sitting here today as healthcare professionals, we do have choices and we do have options. What tends to happen, and I can say it about Northern Ireland, we're very good at digging a big hole and putting our head in the sand and thinking, I don't really want to talk about this, it's a bit uncomfortable, and surely that can't be happening here. Well, it is happening here, but you have a choice in that if you're aware of somebody, can you advise them where to go to? Can you seek help for them? And you have the option to do that. These girls didn't have any choices and they didn't have any options. But sitting here today, you do have both of those. And I want to say, please come and talk to us if you're interested, if you're aware of problems, or you think there's something that you could actually do. Just to encourage you, there's lots of organisations that are actually carrying out campaigns that are advising people what they need to do. And if you actually, I'm not going to try modern technology here, but if you go onto some of the Twitter accounts, you can add conversations, you can vote in areas where people are saying this shouldn't be happening any longer. And there's also a list of references for really good organisations that have got guidance out there. At the start of this year, the RCN and the RCM have brought about guidelines as to how we can provide care for the women, and the reality is it's part of what we need to do. We're now living in a globalised society and we need to be prepared as to how best we can look after this woman, and hopefully something that we have said here today will enable you to carry out the care that they need. Thank you.
I would like to add a very important thing. It is really a shame to say the men is behind. This is a bad issue. I do believe that some ladies really don't want to do that for the girls, but the men they push him and do this. And this is really a shame to say that. And very important thing, the people coming in this country, they don't understand it is this is a bad culture, it is illegal. But if you explain him 100%, we can stop or change this bad culture. Thank you very much.